All right, thanks, Dave. This morning, we're also talking politics, the economy, and how Louisiana fares. U.S. Representative Charlie Melanson has volunteered to let us pick his brain live this morning on TuneIn. Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Was fog a problem for you?
I stayed in town. We came back in from visiting my mother-in-law last night, so my wife just dropped me off in town at 6 o'clock, so it wasn't bad.
Oh, so it wasn't too bad. That's good. And then Easter, so you had some downtime you were able to enjoy with the kids?
Well, I wouldn't call it downtime.
Okay.
I managed to fall off a ladder at the camp trying to clean up at the camp on Friday. That was Thursday afternoon, I guess.
But you walked in here, so you're okay.
Yeah, we're in good shape.
You're on the mend.
We're in good shape.
Okay, because we need you. All right, let's talk about the economy, the downturn in the economy, because now that the holiday has passed, this is all in our minds again. Do you think some of the decisions that have been made with the stimulus plan, the bailouts, are leading us in the right direction?
Well, the only thing we can do is hope. There's no science to the stimulus. The question is, in some people's mind, why did we do it? The economists that I visited with during the period of time prior to the passage of the stimulus, all of them had different opinions on how you stimulate the economy. Did you put it into public works jobs? Did you give tax breaks? What did you do? But none of them disagreed on the fact that doing nothing was an option. You had to do something to keep this economy afloat. Their biggest concern, the fear, and the imminent fear at that time, was that the economy collapses. And that was a worldwide collapse fear, too. And we go into a depression. Nobody wants to see that happen. All that coupled with the big three auto manufacturers, the TARPs and the banks and AIG and all those other things, it's kind of like all of a sudden everything appeared on the horizon and then started falling off this cliff. And you were trying to catch them and bobble them. Right. So I'm hopeful. I mean, the stock market up this month 23%. Of course, it'd have been nice if it never went below 10,000, but just moving in that direction, that's a positive sign. Is there confidence? That shows some confidence to some extent. Is this the beginning? I hope so. The expectation by most of the economists is, with what we did, was hope that we start seeing some turnaround at the end of this year. Is it coming soon? I think all of us are hoping and praying it will. So. South Louisiana has not really felt the loss of job impact that the rest of the nation has, but it's out there, and I'm starting to hear and see it on a daily basis with layoffs, particularly in the oil and gas industry, in the city's regular jobs. So I'm just hopeful that this is kind of a beginning of a turnaround, that people will feel better, start putting people back to work. I mean, we still have a strong economy in South Louisiana, or relative compared to the other areas, based upon which is based upon what has happened with the hurricanes over the last couple of years. We've been in a stimulus program now since 2005, after Katrina hit. So construction is still going, but I remember the 1980s, 83, when everything just fell out along Highway 90 were road signs that said, "Last one out, turn off the lights." The oil and gas industry basically just took a hiatus and disappeared for a couple of years. It's about 91, 92. That was a bad time for South Louisiana. I just hope we don't really experience that again. If the oil and gas prices come back up, I was fortunate enough to be on the budget committee and got the oil and gas tax proposals taken out of the budget. So that's off the table. And so if there were oil companies that were leery about going forward, hopefully that being off the table will give them a little bit more confidence to go back out as the price goes up.
Yeah, in Louisiana, in the headlines, we've been bucking the trend in many areas, and we hope that continues. Let's talk about when you're in D.C., you're a Louisiana leader making policy, but one of a few Democrats, one of two.
That's correct.
What is that like, and does that hamper anything when you're trying to go forward with your agenda?
Well, it's difficult at times because I'm trying to balance the needs of the state, not just my district, because I am the only Democrat, and because there's Democratic majority and Democratic administration. I have a lot of people from Baton Rouge, Monroe, Shreveport, Lafayette, from across the state. Of course, Rodney Alexander's on appropriations, so he gets visited by people from throughout the state also. But when it comes to a lot of the recovery and rebuilding money for the coastal areas, my district and Orleans area and the eastern part of the state, and the western part of the state for that matter, I kind of become the go-to person. And I joke with my friends, it's not very difficult to caucus because all I need is a mirror, and I can usually win whatever caucus argument I have.
There you go. I was curious about that, just looking at what was on your agenda and how we could get things done here in Louisiana. But being on Capitol Hill, looking back at Louisiana, do you think we're moving in the right direction? We're doing what we need?
Well, things have been going well, and of course I'm getting asked quite a bit because a number of my colleagues continue to vote against everything, and so my other colleagues from other states come up to me and say, well, y'all must be fixed, everything must be okay in South Louisiana, you don't need the money anymore, we'd be happy to take your share. So it's trying to balance that out with the perception that because Louisiana in some instances says I don't need some of that money, so the people in Washington take that as you're finished. All the hurricane recovery's been done. The billions and billions of dollars we gave you, you don't need any more, and that's not the case. Mr. Gao had submitted, I think, $1.2 billion in earmarks this past week for his district alone. Collectively, we probably submitted about $2 billion for Louisiana.
Wow. Okay. All right. So lots of work to get done, and we know
work.
You'll be back. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay away from ladders this week.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. U.S. Representative Charlie Melanson live on TuneIn this morning. Well, did you know a little creativity could get you